So you've probably seen UFC's new deal with Paramount Plus for $7.7 billion. If you haven't, the UFC is going to be under contract with Paramount Plus to show all of their events for the next 7 years. Now, there will be no more pay-per-views for the UFC. You can watch every single event with Paramount Plus. Not only that, the UFC and Dana White announced that July 4th, 2026, when 2026 is when the Paramount Plus deal comes in, when it starts, July 4th next year, there will be a White House UFC fight. Now, I think the combination of that deal and that fight can be enough, if worked by the UFC correctly, to take them up as one of the very, very top sports organizations in the world and take MMA to the next level as one of the sports that everyone just knows a little bit about. It's kind of like the NFL, NBA. Everyone has watched a little bit of that in their entire life. Everyone, you just turn it on. Oh, is there a game on today? Let's see an NFL game. Well, yeah, we'll just turn it on in the kitchen. Or an NBA game at night when you're just hanging out with your friends. That's how the UFC could be because of this deal and because of this card. But let me tell you how they get there. First, I'm going to get into the deal, or the details about the deal. So currently, if you subscribe to ESPN Plus to watch UFC, you might already have it anyway, but if you do it to watch UFC, it's going to be $120 a year to watch the fight nights and just everything that's not numbered. Now, if you want to watch the pay-per-view events, the numbered events, it's going to be $80 for each event. So let's say you buy the year, and then a couple months later you buy your first pay-per-view, and that's all you want for the whole year. So you spent $200 to watch one pay-per-view. Now, with this new Paramount deal, it's going to be $60 for the whole year. That's what Paramount is right now. Now, it's probably going to go up. I don't care if it goes up to $100 a year. I mean, I don't see them. Maybe they'll double the price and be $120 a year like ESPN Plus, but that's still a better deal. I don't see there could be any way that it's going to be a worse deal than the ESPN. So right now, $60 per year, amazing to watch every single UFC event. Now, a lot of people have been saying they also have like Yellowstone and whatever else on Paramount. I like SpongeBob. They have SpongeBob on Paramount. I know we have like the Super Bowl where they do like a SpongeBob Super Bowl, or the SpongeBob, maybe it was a SpongeBob Thursday night football games. I don't know if they want SpongeBob fighting, but hey, I would watch SpongeBob fight Sandy if they had like SpongeBob CGI fighting Sandy during one of the events. I'll tune into that. So, but the Paramount Plus, even if it's just UFC, I'll pay $60 a year for that. Now, I think that the UFC needs to ride this deal that obviously they made it. They're smart. But they need to ride this deal. They can't mess it up. They need to ride it to the top of the sports world. I think the way they do that is, first of all, with this deal, they don't have to do much with this part of it. But it's going to make, like I said, better just when you're hanging out with your family and your friends. If you're on a Saturday night and they say, hey, what's on? Oh, let's just put the UFC fight on. And even if you're not even really watching it that much, right? Maybe someone has an amazing knockout. Whoever you're hanging out with, maybe they didn't watch UFC before that. All of a sudden, they become a fan. The UFC hasn't had that before. Not like the NFL and like the NBA. Because, I mean, you might have those moments where you say, hey, you want to come over to my house? We're watching UFC. You've never seen it. But to pay $80, it's not happening as much, right, when you have to pay $80 for it. Now it's going to happen all the time for people who don't even watch UFC in the first place. Let's see what's on tonight. Oh, UFC. All right. I don't watch mixed martial arts, but let's just put it on and see how it is tonight. Just like, sometimes you might put on tennis if you don't like tennis, or you might put on hockey if you don't like hockey. Maybe you don't watch basketball. You might put on some basketball. So that's what's going to happen for the UFC. And it's also going to fix a big, huge problem for the UFC, which I don't think people talk enough about. And that problem is that it's not like soccer or football or basketball, where you can have your team and stick with them, right? So, like, I'm a Browns fan. I've been a Browns fan since before they had a 0-win season, since before they had a 1-win season. I mean, I think we've only had 1 or 2 winning seasons my whole life as a Browns fan. So, and I'm still with them. I'm still a Browns fan. I don't think I'll ever stop being a Browns fan. So that's the edge, the advantage that one of those leagues has on consumers, because my team sucks. My team is terrible, constantly year over year. But I continue to watch them every year. I watch almost every Browns game, and I tune into their news, and I tune into their social media and the draft, because I have this connection with them. So the UFC is constantly missing out on the value of connections that you get with a specific team. Now, you can have your fighter, and he might be on top of the world, and in a few years, he gets knocked out once or twice, it messes him up, and he's done for, right? Or, everyone's prime is different in fighting, right? So maybe they only have 1 year, maybe they started their career earlier or later, whatever it is. But it's rare to see so much longevity in fighting, and you're never just going to obviously get the longevity of, let's say, a basketball player. I mean, it's just not going to happen when you're getting hit in the face, kicked in the face, choked out like in the UFC. So, but the advantage that the UFC now will have with this deal is that when you do lose your fighter, when your fighter that you love does retire or isn't as entertaining anymore, now it's going to be so much easier for you to just pick up on new fighters, because you're probably going to be putting on the UFC more just because it's something that you're always going to see. So that next pay-per-view that you maybe wouldn't have watched because you didn't know any of the fighters, now you might put it on in the background. You might hear a post-fight interview that I like what he said there. Let me look up who this guy is. Let me watch his next pay-per-view. Or maybe he does he throws a backhand knockout, or a spinning back fist, or whatever it is, right? Maybe he kicks the guy. Maybe he accidentally kicks him in the nuts, or he pokes his eye, right? And then, oh my God, what is he doing? And then you're like, hey, actually, what is wrong with this guy? And you look him up a little bit. I actually like this guy, and you start watching him, right? Maybe. So that's gonna help the UFC have those connecting moments more with fans. Now, I also think the UFC needs to really change their marketing. I think to become one of those top organizations in sports, you need to be, I can't think of a better word for it, so I'm just going to say a little more professional. So right now, I don't follow UFC on Instagram. I don't even have Instagram. I don't follow them on any social media. But I saw a post someone was talking about where they were, I guess, posting on their Instagram promoting something with an OnlyFans girl. And then I do see them like always promoting with Nelk Boys and, some other streamers. And that's like, the streamer part is good to an extent, but that should be a small part, a very little part. It should be more of the streamers marketing you. In the UFC, it feels like more like, hey, these people like us, so you should like us too. Which it always is that, but it's like the UFC is like kind of begging you. And to advertise with an OnlyFans girl, that's just to me terrible marketing. I mean, you're already fighting. You're already people beating each other up. So when you're trying to get more fans, you already have the people that like OnlyFans girls. Trust me, you already do. You already have the people that like OnlyFans girls and go to sports bars and get drunk and watch UFC. You already have that. What you don't have as much is going to be the families together, because some families are going to say, hey, we don't like you. We don't want our kids watching people beat the heck out of each other. So you don't make a better case for yourself when you're advertising with an OnlyFans girl. And you don't, like, the NFL and the NBA and like FIFA, these organizations are kind of like, they've marketed themselves to look like an out of touch, like they're, it's kind of hard to explain, but they're this high up entity, right? And like, they're the top. If anyone they work with is like, and anything they do is like, you're below. Like, you know what you are. When you advertise the way the UFC does, it brings the organization down a level. And you kind of want to be a little out of like hand. You don't want to be touchable, right? You want to be a little bit just more professional. So I hope you understand what I'm getting at here, but I want to see the UFC fix their marketing, and I want them to focus more on the specific fighters. I want to promote your fighters more, like boxing does. Boxing really does a good job promoting these specific fighters, especially at the start of their career when they're just coming out. UFC, I mean, they're still hanging on to Conor. I mean, the biggest story, I'm not gonna say it, but if you want to look at the biggest story, what's been around the UFC lately, it's been with Conor McGregor, having some interesting text. So UFC's still hanging on with Conor McGregor, and they need to be promoting their young fighters better. I think they really need to be promoting Ilia Topuria. I want to see him at the White House card. I think he's special to me. I haven't been so excited to watch the UFC in forever, in years, since Conor. So I want them to go really all in on him, but really start marketing all of their fighters better. I want to see it on TV. I want to see them. UFC 429. Dun, 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 blah, 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 blah. We have Samuel Jones out of Kentucky versus this guy from Brazil. And then you got them, whatever, boom, they're arguing, whatever. I want to see more of that, right? Just some typical promo, but now they're choosing more to go promo with Nelk Boys, right? So I want to see more of those types of promos and big spots. They really needed to crush the marketing of the White House card. Now, the White House card. So the White House card. When I was looking at it, I was like, how can they kill it with this card? Because obviously every couple years, and they have to say this, but every couple years, not even every couple years, multiple times a year, this is the biggest card we've ever had, right? But of course they're going to say that. But this card should be, it really should be, it shouldn't even be like, is it going to be? It should be, yes, this has to be the biggest fighting event in history. That's what it should be. So I'm trying to think to myself, all right, how are we going to make the White House card the best card in combat history? And I found out that actually this is the first time since 2004 that there hasn't been a single male American champion. And there's only one female American champion, Kayla Harrison. Now, shout out to her. I actually trained. Shout out to Kodokan, I think is what it's called, judo in Cape Coral. I actually trained there for one day, and the sensei there, he trained Kayla Harrison. So shout out to him, shout out to that judo, and shout out to Kayla Harrison. But so obviously she has to be on the card. I mean, that would be huge if she's on the card for Americans, if she's still champ by that time. But so I'm thinking, how are they going to do it if there's no American champs? There's not too many American fighters right now where I'm just so excited to watch them, where I'm like, okay, if they put them on the card, America's going to fall in love with them, right? So I'm thinking about it, and for the UFC and for sports and for MMA, it's good that there's no American champions. I mean, it's good, not specifically that there's no Americans, but that there's a ton of different countries being champions. Of course, there's going to be another American in a little bit, right? So that's good for the UFC, but for this fight, I'm thinking, how are we going to make Americans who don't watch UFC watch this card? And what I came up with is, instead of the White House card where it's like we got these 4 great fights or these top three good fights, right? Maybe we have 3 champion title fights, right? Why don't they do the World UFC Tournament? Not the card, the tournament. And instead of being like, okay, this is the White House card, and then that's just it. Right now, this year we have a big fight in the U.S. A few years from now, maybe it's in Russia. A few years from now, it's in Brazil. A few years from now, it's maybe somewhere in Africa, right? Maybe they'll put it in Japan. Wherever it could be. It's going to be like the Olympics. It's going to be like the World Cup. But every couple years, every three years, they could do a tournament of you could have 3 people from one country. Yeah, maybe you want 4, maybe you want 2, but I'm thinking 3 people from each country, maybe the top 6 or 7 or 8 countries that that have the most ranked fighters at that time, put them in like a 2-3 day tournament, and every fight, maybe it's every fight you win, that country gets 1 point. Maybe if you get a knockout, you get an extra half a point. Or if you get a submission, an extra half a point, right? If you get something in the first round, an extra half a point. Then at the end of the weekend, whatever country has the most points is the UFC Global Country Champion, whatever they want to call it. And all the players and all the fighters get their global country belts. I mean, how special would that be? That would bring so many more viewers to the UFC. Now, fighting, it should be the biggest sport, at least one of the biggest sports in the world. I mean, it's probably the longest lasting sport in human history. Humans have always liked to watch fighting. I mean, you probably were at school when you were a kid and you're recording, or not, you probably weren't recording people, depending on how old you are, but you were watching, no matter how old you were watching somebody get in a fight. Maybe you were recording if you're a little younger, like I was. You're recording somebody get in a fight at school. You're watching people get in a fight. You're like, this guy's about to fight this guy, whatever it is. So humans are always interested in fighting. If you got everyone's countries together every couple years and did the UFC Tournament of Countries, or tournament of the UFC Tournament of the World, the UFC Tournament of the World, who will be the champion? And every couple years, you get and then that country's gonna have bragging rights. And every couple years, last year Japan won it. There's some new American champions though. Is America gonna win it this year? And every year it's gonna be in a new amazing spot, like the White House, right? So they could just, instead of having this one-time event, this card that, it's gonna be similar to other cards, right? You can always say this card's better, but it's still gonna be a basic fighting card. But if we can do a tournament, a country tournament, it's like what FIFA did with soccer. Nobody even watches really the Olympic soccer. I mean, they watch it, but it's not as special as the Olympic or as the FIFA World Cup. So you'd be creating your own worldwide watched tournament, and you wouldn't have to be a part of something like how the NFL is going with the Olympics. It would be yours. And I mean, this could just blow up the UFC and MMA. Right now, the Paramount Plus is only going to be for America in 2026. But that tournament, if that tournament does happen, it needs to be worldwide, available to watch for everyone. No pay-per-view, right? Maybe a subscription, but no pay-per-view. I would love to see that. I think it would blow anything in fighting history out of the water. It would probably be the biggest. It could be the biggest sporting event in the history of the world. So I would love to see that. Let me know what you think. Would you like to see it? The world tournament of the world country fighting championship. All right, the Aidan Country World Championship. I'm putting my name on it if the UFC wants to do it. Put the Aidan Egizio World Country Fighting Championship, and I'll hand out the belt after my amazing tournament idea has been put out there. All right, and you all love it. Trust me. All right. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe here. Let me know what you think of my tournament idea. What do you think about Paramount Plus having UFC? Are you going to subscribe if you already haven't? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Thank you.